All right, Dave, ask, what was your questions you just thought of?
Oh, so my question, I thought of this morning is, and I think you guys may have talked about this before, but what is the best approach to talk to your client when they're not doing what they need to do? Now, I don't know if there's a specific way to do it. I can give you some context if you want to the question, if that would help.
Yeah, because specific context would be great. Yeah.
All right, so there's two things that's happened recently. One is, you remember all we did a bunch of research around the category pages for the site, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's brilliant. Recorded a video for him explaining the whole process, met with one of the people, and I'm like, I need final approval before we're going to switch our strategy to this. Okay, because this is what we recommend. And the one lady says, the person says, yeah, we need to do it. I'm just getting approval from others. 2 weeks later. Okay, so that's one thing. And the other thing is, we've agreed from the beginning that they've got to review the blog posts that we do for them to add different terms that they are more familiar with. You know, they need to be the expert, right? And they're doing some reviewing, but they're not like completing it and telling me it's good to go. I'm also asking them to provide images, which we don't have to have, but it to me, and I've actually talked to the person about this. It's like, just take your iPhone and go to the factory floor, or on a Monday once a week, and just take a few pics. And it's just not happening. So we get kind of stalled. The problem that I don't want to have happen is we're stalled on all this stuff, and then because we're not updating things, Google knows we're not updating things.
Yeah, and under those circumstances, at best you're going to be flat. But
yeah,
sometimes Google will you'll slip, and the client's like, "What the heck? I'm paying you for SEO, and the traffic is slipping." In reality, the client's the holdback.
Yeah, so my plan is just to say, let's have an honest conversation, and this is kind of what we're facing and what I need from you guys, and and just see what they can do, other than, because I know what their responsibility is. Like, you're right, you're absolutely right, because I think we've kind of had this conversation before a little bit. You're right, we need to do this, but then they don't follow up.
Right. So let me ask, without getting too specific into special, into stuff, is this a client with which you already have an SEO retainer, and is this text, this stuff falls within that? This isn't like, hey, I'd like to do this, and I'd like to charge you more to do this.
Correct.
Okay.
It's the form.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So this is the place in which I live, right? Yeah. Because if we're going to do quality stuff, I want client input, because they're truly the experts, and I don't want to publish something that makes them look bad, especially if their audience is knowledgeable. And if my writers aren't as knowledgeable, it could make the company or the client look less credible. So I need the client to review things. So there's a couple things that I do on a regular basis to help. One is that monthly report is so important, because you can see if traffic is stagnating, or, hey, you're getting good profit off this, we can get more. And so put it in terms of ROI, and then the effort to ROI, and kind of bait them into, that's why we're doing this. And we have to do more to get there, right? SEO isn't free. We have to put time and effort into it, right? I know you're already doing that, but I find that when I finally get clients to look at a report, especially if the reports are underperforming, that's when I can light the fire, because they see the implications. But that's probably not helping you, because I know you're already doing that.
Yeah, so so as some context, the way we do a monthly report with some of this stuff in it, and we have a meeting with them and we talk about our action items, and it's pointed out to them what they need to do and what they have to do and all that kind of stuff. And then,
Right.
yeah, they promise that they're going to do it.
Right.
The thing is, I maybe what I can do that might work better is to say, look, guys, if we don't do this stuff now, I'm concerned that in another 2 months or 3 months, you're going to see the drop off.
Right.
And by the time you feel it, it's going to take 2 or 3 months to get back up.
And that is absolutely accurate, right? And that I would stand behind that professionally to say, yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly what we'd expect. The other thing I do to prevent this is when I write, and some of this is Captain Hindsight suggestions, so it's not as helpful to you, Dave, but I always write in my proposal, you have to participate for this to succeed, right? There are some people who will do it all for you. But if we're doing quality work, we can't completely do it all for you. And I just want to set expectations. The challenge is people hire us because they don't have time. And so they hope to outsource this and move on to other things. But reality, I do need input. Now, despite those two factors that I do for all clients, I still run into clients that take forever to approve things. And so if I identify a troubled client in terms of I'm not moving forward because they are their own barrier, I probably have had several heart-to-hearts of I need to get this approved, and a lot of yeah, I'm sorry, I'll get this next week. And I've had that many times. After a couple rounds of that, I say the next conversation is, I'm going to switch our process.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you. And if I don't hear anything in 2 weeks, it's going live. The good news is if it's wrong and live, we can fix it real quickly. It's just content. It's just words most of the time, right? And so that lights fires under people because they know it's going to go live and they have a specific deadline rather than an indefinite, we can't move forward with this until you approve it. Then if it's a game of chicken, right? If they wait 2 weeks and it's time to publish and they haven't gotten back with me, on the day I publish, I send them the link with it live and say, hey, it's live. And sometimes that means they drop everything and look at it. Right? But I just have to rely on the competence of my writers to say, I think my writers got it 90 to 95% correct. So it's not going to be too bad typically. I don't hire cheap writers and stuff like that.
It's like the changes that they do. There's like half a dozen markouts, correcting some terms and and just little minor things. Yeah. So so I love that advice. So I'm going to adopt that. I'm going to basically say, look, here's why we're going to do this. We're going to start when I give you potentially a change in strategy. If I give you a potential change in strategy over the next couple of weeks or 3 weeks, you have 2 weeks to review it and to give me feedback. Otherwise, it's going to go live. We're going to switch.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot better approach than to just like sit and wait for them.
Right. And I'll add another aspect to this that I found helpful. I don't build websites, but I work with partners who do for one of my clients. And so we worked really hard on this new website launch. And it was time to reveal it to I was talking with the director of communication. The partners of the firm had to approve it. Okay. I'd rather the partners of the firm approve it, right? But what we approached it was in the sense of not the open-ended question, what do you think of this? But Okay, without any objection, we're going to publish this right now. Because what I find is, although I want input, sometimes when you ask for input, they feel they have to do their job and find something worth editing. In reality, they don't really care if this word choice or not. They're trying to prove their value by editing. And if you kind of release them from the question and say, all right, we're going to publish this. Now they can say, no, you're not going to publish this. Okay, what would you like us to change? But it's kind of like if you ask them, they feel like they have to come up with something to justify their job, their expertise, their position. But if you're confident that it's good, then sometimes it's not about asking permission. It's about how you ask it in terms of, we're going to tell you we're going to publish this. And what we did was we went to the partners, and our communications director was like, oh, they're going to take 2 months to approve this. This is going to be terrible. I said, hold on, we're just going to ask them the right way. And we said, here's the website. We've worked really hard on it. We're really confident this is going to be a very successful website. And with your final okay, we're ready to launch right now. And the partner said, why are you waiting on us? Launch it. And we were like, whoa. In fact, we had to like cover our mouths because we were so surprised, because we were ready for 2 months of edits before we launched. In this case, they were lawyers, so they were like wanting to check everything. But it was all in how we asked it. And because they didn't really want to take the time to review it. They wanted an out. But if you ask them to approve it, they're gonna review it. They're going to go through it, fine tooth comb, and they're going to find errors that probably don't matter too much, but especially for lawyers, that's their job, right? So what we kind of asked in a way, it wasn't so much of tell us what you think as much as here it is, we're presenting it to you without objection, we're going to launch this.
Okay, so I'm drawing my little 3-step approach. So I like that, David. That's good. So basically what it is, you give them a 2-week warning. And then do you give them a second warning, like a couple of days beforehand?
No, because usually I'm resorting to the 2 weeks after we've already had this problem of them.
Okay.
Right. And they've acknowledged to me that they're the problem.
Yes, that's happened. So what I'm wondering is with this, it's like I'm almost saying give them like a 2-day warning, because when they have a 2-week warning, they're like, okay, I got 2 weeks to do it, and I'm gonna go look at it, and then it's out of their mind. They really want to look at it. That's why I'm thinking, maybe a 2-day warning is good.
You can try that, but my fear, and I've seen this before,
Okay.
is that when you give them a 2-day warning, then they're like, okay, I'll get this to you tomorrow. And now you're in this weird position of, okay, that was tomorrow 2 days ago. They've told you they're giving you the review. It's been 3 days that you haven't received that review yet. Now you're in this ambiguity of,
No, the ambiguity is in that 2-day warning. It's like, it's a reminder you have 2 days. We're publishing it on this particular day. So there really isn't any ambiguity.
Well, I wouldn't call it a warning to them too either. Just from a positioning perspective, warning sounds like something bad's going to go wrong.
Yeah, I got to work on the
positively. We can't wait to launch this, and we're going to launch it in 2 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It's not like, it's like,
you might call it
idiots.
Internally,
you haven't looked at this in 12 days. You've got 2 days left. Come on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, hey, per our last email, we said we're going to launch this in 2 weeks, and we can't wait to launch it. We're going to launch it in 2 days, unless you have anything else to add.
Yeah. I really want to light the fire on them. I really want them to review it.
Yeah.
Go, Tricia.
Well, I have something that it's similar, a little bit different though. So I have a client that I do a monthly email for, and I was having this problem with them, and I'm like, it's got to get out if I'm just sitting here waiting. And it was to the point where finally I changed my wording on my email. And so like typically the email goes out to their clients on a Tuesday. So the Thursday before, I email them the draft and I say, you know, here's the email. It is scheduled to be sent Tuesday morning and at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. If you have questions or edits, please let me know. But it's like, you know, here it is. This is when it's publishing and going out, and that has worked really well because sometimes I can see, you know, that they've opened it. So it's like I see they open it. They used to reply, thanks so much, or if they had a question. Now they open it and don't respond sometimes. So you know, I'm like, okay, they've read it and they haven't said anything, so I'm good.
Okay.
And you know, I have that conversation with them before you start doing that. But I might even, like you said, 2 days. I'm kind of with David. It's a little bit short. I don't know unless like this is something, a project or a topic that you worked on in conjunction with them, and they kind of like know everything ahead of time, and then you're saying, okay, here's the final product. It just needs final, you know, for you to see it. I might give them a couple more days, but
Maybe 3 days. If it goes beyond that, then it's like there's no urgency. Right?
yeah, I get that for sure.
Yeah.
I'll try it. Let you guys know how that works.
I know.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
curious.
I know.
The 2-week thing worked for me, and I didn't give him any advance notice. I didn't give him a second warning. I'm kind of like, let's be professionals here, and you should be a responsible adult. And you've given 2 weeks for this.
Yeah.
And I would never say that to a client, but I have warned you. You're an adult. You can manage your own schedules. You can tell me no if that's unacceptable.
Yes, and that's true. So here's a couple of things to kind of challenge that a little bit.
Yeah.
Is one that it's like, what does Nathan have to do for us in advance group? Does he have to remind us to put in our issues? We've only got 2 issues, and we're in 2 hours. We're starting, right?
Yeah.
We're all professionals and we do a great job. It's just everybody's inundated with stuff. And it happens in my other group that my other business partner and I do. We do coaching with them. And some of these guys make like millions of dollars a year. We got one guy who is considering potentially selling his company, and that would be like, I don't know, many millions of dollars for what he does. So he's very professional. It's just, and by the way, this is the same guy who's fully paid me to redesign his website, and we've been stuck for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's just people are like, they have all good intentions to get to it, and it just stuff comes up. It happens to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I
Client
have one
fires.
that I'm working with that actually, like, the hardest part is they've got so many different moving parts and people working on different things. The part that I'm doing is their Google business profile, and they're also in the process of launching a new website, and things keep getting backed up. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, what am I doing now? Because usually, like, all that's done, you know, that's done. And I'm like, okay, so I don't want to start doing something and then have it be off brand because they're changing things. And it's one of the most, it's different for me. So have to figure out how to work all the moving pieces. So each client is different.
Yeah, well, I'll try this. I think we'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully
I
that
think
works.
what's interesting is this assumes a lot about the clients and the work you do. I know a lot of SEO companies who do not allow clients to review content. They just, you get what you get.
Really?
Yeah, because their whole business model is getting stuff done rather than doing the right stuff.
Yeah, they just
And
crank
so
stuff out.
You get 3 blog posts a month. We don't really care if you approve it or not. We're just publishing it.
Yeah.
Now, for some people, that's kind of what they want. Just do it for me. but the quality of that work is typically poor.
Yeah, anybody could have written it.
Yeah.
And whereas you want your client to be the expert and give their expert opinions on it.
Yeah, and we want it, this has got to be for the long term, right?
Yeah.
Because if another company, one of their competitors doesn't do SEO right and they do this kind of thing, then they'll never, exceed what our customer is doing. So I don't know, we want to do it right by them.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a client right now that we inherited after they worked with a company like this. And the blog posts were irrelevant to their business.
What?
Absolutely irrelevant.
How can they be irrelevant?
Well, I should say they seemed relevant, but they were about without giving away the client, steam power generation or steam engines, which is kind of like the words that are correct for maybe what they do, but what most people think of when they think of that is very different than what our client does. And so it looked right from a keyword perspective, but it wasn't helpful to the client. And the client figured it out after they finally went and looked at their blog, and they're like, what's all this? This isn't what we do.
Wow.
And they're like,
yeah.
Wow.
I had one, and this has been quite a while, but literally somebody was like throwing stuff at it, and they basically did all these posts that had the same exact language, and they were doing it locations. Well, the location was in Atlanta, and they were naming all these locations to try to get seen more locations they didn't service. And I'm like, first of all, if you're gonna like try to do that, that's not how you do it. Second of all, the client doesn't service these areas.
right.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's why client approval is so important. That's why I don't like publishing without client approval, to make that's a check of quality. If I publish about a location that they don't serve, I want to figure that out quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.